to be co-moderating with my colleague, Corinne Delafield. Thank you so much for being here, Corinne, supporting. And before we begin, I wanted to actually give a land acknowledgement, as we do in all of our programming, to acknowledge the First People here. Today, we are honoring the Kumiai people. The UC San Diego community holds great respect for the land and the original people of the area where our campus is located. The university was built on the unceded territory of the Kumiai Nation. Today, the Kumiai people continue to maintain their political sovereignty, cultural traditions as vital members of San Diego community. We acknowledge their tremendous contributions to our region, and thank you for their stewardship. So a little housekeeping rule, kind of guidelines, folks, before we begin. We will be recording this session. So if you are uncomfortable with that, feel free to disengage your videos. We ask that you monitor your mic. So please take a look right now to make sure your mic is muted. I believe you don't have the option at the moment, but if you do, please, if it's unmuted, please mute it. And if you have any questions, I want this session today to be a vital kind of interactive panel. You will have opportunities to engage with our panelists later today. We will be asking some questions specifically to our community members, as well as some cross communication. And I do want to extend a personal kind of apology to those who might need accessibility today. We were unable to figure out our captioning services as well as obtain an interpreter tonight. So this will be recorded and we will be later embedding those accessibility options for those who may need that. If you do have a captioning service of your own, feel free to utilize that. And if you have a great plug, throw it in the chat so we can actually take part in that as well. And let's go ahead and get started. Before we begin, I kind of actually would like to introduce every single person and take an effort also to pay respect to our director, Elena Hood. Thank you so much for putting on this presentation as well. Yeah, we love you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with some of our panelists. Bobby, if you'd like to go ahead and just kind of introduce yourself, a couple minutes, 2 to 3 minutes on who you are, what's your affiliation in the tribe, and the type of work that you do. And we're going to go ahead and unmute.
There we go.
Awesome.
Hey, I'm Bobby Wallace from the Verona Band. Born and bred here, up here in Verona. Went to foster homes. I come from the Venegas clan, and that comes from Capitan Grande, and then also Mesa Grande and Inyaha Cosmic. That's where my people come from here. I'm also Pueblo on my grandfather's side, from New Mexico. I'm really happy to be here today to talk about, stuff that hits home with myself and every tribal member and the other folks that seem to want to, lend a helping hand in our fight, in our fight and our plight to live a better tomorrow. So, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. When we get going, I'll talk a little bit more. But again, it's a privilege to talk to you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead and Jacob.
Okay, very much, Pecham. Noskana Nachi, Mat Ipai Kumiai, Yashmo Kapok, Napum, Mukala Kapai, Napum, Nanatat. Apache. My name is Jacob. I'm Ipai Kumiai from Sam Square Reservation. Our village is called Mokoko. My clan is White Book, which means King Snake. On my dad's side, I'm Nippon Apache, Sun Clan. I'm the tribal liaison at San Diego State University. And I'm also a student here at UCSD, finishing up my Doctor of Education, hopefully by the end of this year, early next year, graduating in May. I also teach in the American Indian Studies Department at San Diego State University, and I've been teaching there. 2021 will be my 3rd year teaching. And I teach issues in American Indian education, and also we created a new course called the Kumeyaay Project, where our students will be learning more about the Kumeyaay people, and also we'll be going into Zaquan Reservation virtually right now, but so they can get an idea of how we teach our kids on the reservations, the interaction between the university and the reservations to create those collaborative relationships. So that's kind of the work I do, and create pathways for our Indigenous students, Native students, American Indian students from all over. to get into San Diego State, easier pathways for them, and connecting them with the right people so we can answer all the questions and in all ways, you know. And then when they're on campus, we try to create a home for them so they feel good on campus as a Native person, that they feel welcomed, that they feel like they have a sense of belonging. And later on in this talk, I can go into details about what that looks like. But yeah, my name's Jacob, and it's an honor to be here to speak on behalf of our people and talk in a good way. So thank you for having me, UCSC, Elena, and Juan for hosting. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jacob. I believe we are now joined by Martha. Are you here? Martha Rodriguez, our other panelists. I see a Rodriguez. I think that might be you.
That's her background. I recognize that Zoom background from anywhere.
Let's see if we can get Martha to unmute. Okay, while we get Martha to work out the audio, Kenny, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Oh, sure. How Kumeyaay, Inyach, Kenny Ramos, Wichahi, Natal, Anyway, Wichahi, Benegas, Nampum Welch, Queshamak, Verona Indian Reservation, Kupai, Natal, Anyway, Wichahi, Ramos, Napum Sugucho, Wapahu, Hawaii, Napum, Ilocos Norte, Kupai. Hi, everyone. My name is Kenny Ramos. I am Kumiai, Ipai from the Verona Band of Mission Indians. I grew up on the Verona Indian Reservation. My family names there are Benegas and Welch, and Bobby's one of my cousins, so shout out, cuz, hello. And
shout out to Jacob.
Right, yeah. It's a panel of cousins today, so it's very, very exciting. Welcome, everyone. And then on my father's side, I'm Hawaiian Filipino, and his families are Ramos and Segucho from Ilocos Norte in the Philippines and Waipahu, Hawaii on the island of Oahu. And yes, I grew up on the Verona Indian Reservation, across the street on the other side of the main road from where cousin lives. And yes, I'm a theater artist. I specialize in theater that centers American Indian perspectives and Indigenous experiences and challenges the settler colonial realities of the United States and American society. I studied American Indian Studies at UCLA. And I actually have a background in student affairs. I worked there for a couple years managing the American Indian Retention Program before I transitioned into doing theater full-time. And yes, I love theater. I do a lot of community engaged work with tribal communities, but also just theater that tends to be written by Native people, and again, centers our stories and perspectives. And I just truly believe it's an art form that has the ability to really change people's viewpoints and to change the way Native people are perceived. And it's also a way to, I think, assert our sovereignty over ourselves, over our images, and also over our stories, which are crucial and are the fabric of our communities and our cultures. And yeah, so I really, before the pandemic, I was really living the dream, traveling around the country doing theater all over and within tribal communities and telling our stories. But some of that work has continued on into the Zoom world. And now I just feel like I'm getting off topic, but it's so great to be here today. Very happy to be here with UCSD and with other Kumiai people and on this panel. And I'll just mute myself now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. We always appreciate your energy and your craft. Thank you so much. And Martha, are you available? Is your mic work? There you are.
Let me unmute. Okay. Okay, hauka. Hauka te pechames, ya Martha Nishi, ya Martha hauka pai. Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hope everyone's okay. My name is Ana Gloria, a lot of people, aka Martha. And then just be happy, I'm very happy to be here with all you guys. See everyone's face. It's been a long time. So anyways, so yeah, I'm Kumiai from San Jose de la Zorra. That's one of the reservations in Baja. And then also founder of the Tipehua group, the international grassroots organization. And then, we work a lot, with doing social justice. And then also I'm the cultural director over here at Siquan. And then what else? Yep, just me. And thank you guys.
Thank you, Martha, for being here.
You're muted, Juan, if you're talking.
Thank you. All right, I'll go back. Again, thank you again to specifically to Tipaihua Kumiai Community College, Sequan, San Pasqual of our local Kumiai nations for coming together and having a collective discussion tonight. I really do personally appreciate your time, your energy, and your investment to each of your craft. I've gone through and we've selected some questions that are particularly pertain to each and every one of you and your capacities as individuals and what you do for our community. So we're going to just kind of jump right into that. I think Stan is going to join us in a little bit. So I think everyone is here who needs to be here. Am I missing anyone? We're good, right? Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some questions here. I would like to actually start with Martha. Martha, you mentioned that you were from one of the reservations in Baja. So specifically related to the border wall, how has the border wall affected our Kumiai relatives in Baja and our relationships here in the United States?
Yes, talking with the elders and how like they have the freedom before to cross the border and come for for ceremonies and traditional gatherings and stuff like that. We have some people from Baja side, like they just walk, like from Nahif, for example, they just walk all the way to Campo for all night wake, and they stay all night, and after the funeral they went back. So it was that freedom. They just go back and forth for different things, and now with the border wall that's not possible. But now even though we have this agreement with the board, with Homeland Security, so we can have obtained the permits, they still it's an issue because sometimes they can deny it at any time, and then it's have a lot of restrictions, and it's just a few hours, a few days, so depends. And so yeah, it's even very hard because we have families like blood families, they're on both sides of the border. They don't have the opportunity to visit each other for years. And then and I mean, because the border wall is right there, we wanna be still be connected, but that's a reality is right there. And that's why we're working very hard to make awareness of that, like our families are dividing our families, and then and destroying, that's another issue too, they're destroying sacred sites too. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. And any of our panelists, feel free to actually, if something resonates with you, to speak on some of the comments and some of your own experiences. So I do know that some of our southern Tipai Kumiai nations are more located towards the border. Can any of you speak to how this has affected your communities in particular?
If nobody is going to jump in there, I've seen it, and I have a friend. His name is John Chrisman, and he was dating a woman from south of the border, but they were having a heck of a time trying to get back through. I remember one time they all came up to our Verona gathering, and it was a little hard for them because they had to spend what they had to get across. They had no money for food and bedding and shelter. And, Eva came to ask me if there was anything we can do. So I talked to some of my council, and they said, sure, we can help these guys out. But that's, part of the problem too is if it costs and takes so much extra money for our ancestors, our people, our relatives to come across, it's not really that fair. I was able to, watch a ceremony at the wall. I've been to the wall probably more times than most. I think Brooke has more days than me, but I was fortunate enough when Martha called our relatives to come up and sing and dance right there at the wall. And we were actually going in a circle, from Baja into the US and back to Baja. And it was something that was really, 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 really special to me. I could just feel it, and looking up at the sky and looking at the ground and looking at all the bushes and thinking to myself, this ain't the way it's supposed to be. It's not. The way it's supposed to be is our people have been traveling back and forth over this land for 12,000 years or more. And that's including my relatives, my family, down to Ensenada, as far out as the Salt, all the way up north, even up to Mojave territory, and all the way back down. Is we moved with the seasons, and only took what we needed, but we kept moving. And as I sat there on the ground and there was some sage burning, I just, thinking, this ain't fair. This ain't right. This ain't fair. And it's something we need to address. Always, I'm sure, throughout my lifetime, it'll be something I'll be working on and fighting for. And I'm sure Martha will do it for hers, life, because the Baja Kumeyaay are our people. They're our relatives. I don't know if anybody else has anything else to say on that one too. Maybe Jacob.
Thank you, Bobby, for your words. Actually, something that came up for me while you were mentioning that, in terms of our relatives and our existence in this community, can you give us kind of a broad range for those who may be joining and don't quite understand the Kumiai Nation in terms of original territory? Can you speak on where our territory occupies in our traditional lands? Jacob, can you answer that question for me?
Yes. So, so San Pasqual, Mesa Grande, San Isabel, we're the furthest northern Kumeyaay tribes, but our right now that's where the furthest where our land goes. And then from here, in the area, it's Valley Center. I don't know if you guys know the area, right above Escondido, and then towards Palomar Mountain, and then you go all the way down to Baja California, where you have Martha's family. So there's 12 Kumeyaay tribes on this side border, and then there's 5 down there that make up the whole entire Kumeyaay Nation. And we've been here for thousands of years. I mean, within our history and stuff like that.
Thanks,
And speaking of that too, we come from the human language speaking people, and that entails all of the people from the river, and that includes us too. And there are very many different stories, and all I can tell is what I've heard and what has been told to me many times. And and that's what we have to go on, is through vocal. That's how our traditions are passed through. I mean, we didn't have notebooks a long time ago. We might have had a skin or something, but oral tradition is key. And like I said, through the oral traditions, they said we were all one tribe at once. So the human family is our family too. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but it is way outside, the Salt River, and it extends all the way up past Laughlin. And, as you guys were saying, back to the ocean, Mesa Grande, SY, San Pasqual, and then all the way down to Ensenada. And that's just us. I mean, it's big territory. So I thought I'd mention something about our human brothers and sisters, because we do share in language, a lot of commonalities.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in there too. Like, our traditional territory is, pretty much, if all you out there in San Diego, you're probably on it. It extends as north as what we may think of as Oceanside, I believe, and then all the way down to, like what Stan said, down as far south as Ensenada and to Baja. But I think that even our ways of understanding like boundaries may be different, because boundaries are borders, things like that, I think come from a Western colonial mindset. So the idea of like this territory being caretaken by the Kumiai, but then it was also different like clan structures and village structures that existed that accounted for caretaking of specific areas. But like anyway, on the north of our territory, we would have, up to the Puyum Kwichum, and then to the east of us, we'd have the Quechan, but we are linguistically related to the Quechan, and we are Ipai Tipai, right? So if you think about other pies that you may think of, like Pai Pai or Havasu Pai, Huala Pai, all those people we share linguistic and a lot of stories and a lot of cultural similarities, and that's all the way into the Grand Canyon, into the base of the Grand Canyon where the Havasu Pai live. So we are culturally connected to those groups as well, just like Cousin is saying. And San Diego County, in case you all didn't know, has the largest concentration of American Indian reservations in the entire country. There are 18 reservations located within the constraints of San Diego County, 12 or 13 of which are Kumiai or Ipai Tipai, and then the rest, I believe, are Lisenyo and then maybe Kuya as well. But yes, so welcome. You're in Indian country, everybody. Hello. I didn't know if you knew that.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Jacob, and everyone else too as well. I actually wanted to kind of segue a little bit. Bobby mentioned something about oral traditions and kind of how we communicate our culture and how we pass that down. And this question is going to go to you, Kenny, because I think this is a good segue. Each one of us has our capacity in what we do in our work, whether it's in academia, whether it's as a cultural bearer, whether it's in education or teaching. So you mentioned, Kenny, that you are a Native American theater performing artist. So with that being said, how do you use your craft to spread awareness on issues affecting the Kumeyaay Nation? And how can other Kumeyaay artists or even other Indigenous folks across the country use their gifts to center their own communities or what you do within the Kumeyaay territory?
I really dug a hole for myself saying that I was theater artist, because now I have to answer this question. Great. Yes, thank you. Actually, and this question is making me think more in terms of, because I do a lot of theater art, but not a lot of it has been totally centered on Kumeyaay experience. I tend to work with other tribal communities, and that just is where my trajectory has taken me, as far as, Native villages in Alaska, Prince of Wales Island in Southeast Alaska, and O'odham communities in Arizona, and Lakota communities in North and South Dakota, and Ponca communities and the Tongva community. Anyway, I've worked with plenty of tribal communities in this way, but I have yet to really work on something that would, and this is a dream of mine, to work on something that centers Kumeyaay experience and Kumeyaay stories. And even just before this, I was thinking, because Stan was doing a panel, and I was thinking about, like, for me, I do just love theater so much, and I think it is a way for us to preserve and strengthen our cultural identities and our stories, and to empower our youth to know the stories. So just today, it was kind of like, I was thinking, I don't know why I haven't really, sorry. Anyway, yeah, I think that's kind of where I might be headed to, in terms of, I was thinking, sorry, it's like, you really got me with this one. I think stories, theater, it's important. It is an important tool for us to use that can benefit our communities. Specifically, how have I used that art form with Kumeyaay, with art? It's kind of like you're pointing me out, like, I have yet to work on a play that centers our experience. But that doesn't mean that I won't, and that we haven't yet. And so I'm kind of intrigued by what it could be to work on a community engaged play with our tribal communities. What it could be to, sorry, you're kind of getting me into my art process now, but like what it could be to, like, sit down with members from the different bands and share stories, and then maybe develop a play based on those stories that then we could perform, like, place that's of cultural significance to us, or just an important space in general. But outside of, like, the work in my specific realm, which all of it is tied to, Native experiences, and there have been other plays that are largely about American Indian experiences that do tie back to, a Kumeyaay experience, whether there was a play that Dr. Hood saw last year in Arizona that, you know, that a large part of it dealt with blood quantum and dealt with youth organizing around different issues, including a transgender or non-binary two-spirit identity. And I think, you know, there are ways that plays I've done in other tribal communities do tie back to the issues that we face in my tribal community, but also I think a lot of tribal communities. Oh gosh, what was I say? Oh, but what I will say is I have, you know, every time that this even just happened last week, I gave a talk for News from Native California. And at the end, you know, we talked about this particular issue, the wall and things going on there. And I also was commissioned by UCLA earlier this year to create a piece with Tongva artists about land acknowledgement. And in the portion that I wrote and performed and then filmed on my reservation, I did write a piece, a small piece of the whole thing was about this issue, about the idea of walls and borders on our land. When we understand culturally that those things don't exist, they can, you know, our connection to the land supersedes any wall or border that a colonial power puts on us, right? So I think that, and that was, I did write about that in a piece that I performed for someone else, for UCLA. But anyway, I don't know if this really answers the question. I think you just are basically calling me out, like, why haven't you done the work that you do in other places here at home? And so I guess you're just, yeah, and it's a good point. I need to do some of that work here. But I'm hopeful because I think that we're in a place to do that. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much? Okay.
No, you're good. No, we'll hold that response because there's an opportunity for every one of you to take away from something that you learned from this discussion. So maybe that could be one of your highlights for future. My next question, thank you, Kenny. My next question goes to Jacob. And actually, for those of you again who are just tuning in, we had a couple people just submitted. We are having a discussion with Kumeyaay leaders, activists, cultural bearers from the Kumeyaay Nation, discussing culture, education, and areas pertaining to the border wall. But as you see from the conversation so far, it is not just centered on the border wall. So we are welcoming all intersections of how it affects our community in all terms. So thank you again for being here. My next question is going to go to Jacob. Jacob, you are in academia. You mentioned that you are you're a doctorate student currently now. So, and also you from, you know, we are from San Pasqual. We live here, right? We're Northern Kumeyaay tribe. For someone who may be thinking, okay, you have 13 nations and, you know, you're the furthest up north. How does the wall affect you? So what would you say to someone who says, you know, for someone like yourself and myself who lives, you know, 70 miles, let's say 60 miles away from the border wall or whatnot, what would you say to someone who may think the wall only affects local Southern community Kumeyaay tribes?
Yeah, that's a good question. It made me think of a lot of things.
You're muted. There we go. Sorry. Go ahead and start from the beginning.
So yeah, I was saying that was a great question. I'm glad that you asked, just because I don't see us as separate from any of the tribes down there. I see us as one nation. So that that doesn't affect me in that way, because I know we're all connected. And if there's something going on down there, we have to be there for our people to be there, because we're all a Kumeyaay nation. We're not just these reservations that are separated, you know? Like, I don't believe that way. So with that being said, I'll open up this answer a little bit more, how it affects anyone that's on the southern border of the United States. And there's a lot of tribes. There's us, we're dealing with it right now. The Kokopah right there, Kotan, Yaqui, the Hono O'odham Nation, Tiwa, the Kickapoo. And there's so many tribes along the border wall that are going to be facing the same things that we're facing right now. And to reach out to our people to see what we're doing, what we're going through as a nation, and how we can all help each other, protecting our sacred sites, protecting our burial grounds, protecting anything that our ancestors left, ceremonial grounds that might be destroyed by the construction of the border wall. And we are the first to go through this right now. We're the first nation right here, started right here in San Diego. And but back to your other question, yeah, I don't see us as separate. I see us as all connected as one nation. So that's just how I view it. Any other question?
Yeah, and you have a follow-up question, but I'm going to hold that one for a little bit because I actually think this is a great opportunity for Martha to share some insight, and everyone, in terms of who's worked this summer. For those of you who maybe have seen some of the demonstrations that have been existing, and Bobby, you can speak to this too. Shield, Warriors of Awareness, like all of these other activist groups and communities that have been at the forefront, and really shedding light to the border and to what it represents for every one of us. I would like to take this opportunity to kind of hear from each one of you, just in a couple, 2 to 3 sentences. What does the border wall represent to you personally? And what do you want participants tonight to take away from this discussion, from hearing from you? So we'll go ahead and start with you, Martha. Okay, you're good.
Okay.
So the question is, what does the border wall represent to you? Or what does it symbolize? And the follow-up question will be, what do you want our participants tonight to take away from this discussion and being part of this discussion?
Well, for I guess for me and for the Tipaihua group, we don't wanna have to have the wall to be an issue and separate us. That we have a lot of work to be all united. Um, yeah, for me, it's imaginary border, but the reality is there, and that's dividing us. And with the Tipaihua group, that's why we are like working very hard so we can be united as a one nation, and then and be connected, all of us as a family, as a one family, because it's still a lot of like the border bring to the people too is a lot of like fear. Like people are scared to go over there because the media is making it worse, saying about things. So it's just like that border wall make a lot of problems for us. This is our homeland, and we should have the freedom to go back and forth at any time we please. And then and also, there's very like our ancestors fight for ourselves, for our freedom, for our land and stuff like that. And you know and we're still fighting, a different fight right now, but it's still fighting. And then um and that's one of the things, yeah, we're right fighting the border wall, but also we have other goals too. Maybe we're not even able to stop the border wall right now, but I think that's a good time for us to come as united as a one nation. And then so one of the goals that we're working right now with the Tipeihua group, that have tribal members from both sides of the border. And then and it's that's why they call the the it's a grassroots organization of the human groups, because hopefully one day we'll have more people like the Wallapai, the Kokopa, the Kachan, so other people will come all together, not only just the Kumiai or the Payopai or the groups and Bajas, and all the human groups be united for fighting different social justice for our people and for our communities and stuff like that. Um, One of the things we're working very hard right now with the tribal leaderships in Baja and over here in San Diego area too, is to have one Kumeyaay flag, only one flag for the Kumeyaay nation for both sides of the border. So not let the border wall to divide us, so have only one single nation flag. Also, one of the goals that will be too to have our Kumeyaay port of entry. And then why not have different cars to people have more rights over here in the United States. Come back home and anytime they please. I know a lot of people, they have it's home, and the reservation over there is home too, but they can come and visit, and then anytime, they don't have to be waiting, sit over there like 5 or 6 hours waiting to cross the border. Even it make it easier for the people over here to go over there too. And then and with the Tipaihua group too, the whole time we go over there with people from over here, it's not easy the first time people going over there. It's a lot of like how do you say? I mean, you're going to another country, but I mean, it's still home. But you're going to, it's a lot of rules and stuff like that. So it's not easy for somebody to go. But I think like the more we're doing it, we're breaking those barriers more and more. And then and I think we are like, we have a very good group right now. Like, we go and do activities, go back and forth, and we do it over there in Baja, or we do it over here. Like a lot of the Kumeyaay ceremonies, like we do every year. That's for the winter solstice in La Rumorosa. It's a few years already that we go over there and hold ceremony over there, and it's very important to go to the sacred places and do ceremony, because you have the experience over here. People say, oh, you guys don't use your sacred sites anymore, so why are you guys fighting for that? Like, no, we need really, I mean, we're demonstrating. We're going every time we need to be. We go and hold ceremony over there, and it's on both sides of the border, because the more, like over here, you see the government, they don't care. They're destroying the sacred sites over here. In Mexico, what they doing? The Mexican government, there are many bank of us over there. They have people, they're charging people every time they go to the Kumiai side over there, they're charging people to go over there. And then do you see those money going to the Kumiai people or to the Native Baja? No. So it's like a lot of injustice that we need to be working together and be united for to fight all these issues that are going on in Kumiai Nation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Martha. That was incredibly powerful. I appreciate that. Bobby, can you actually, you're one of the individuals who actually have been involved in a lot of activism in other areas too in your lifetime, but specifically with the movement that's taken place at the border, out in La Posta, Campo, you being out there at the wall, and what can you tell us about your individual efforts and what you have seen in terms of your own experience at the wall, at demonstrations, and what are your hopes that all of the work and efforts that have been laid in front since, my goodness, since COVID first hit till now, and is continuing to do work in terms of legislation, and what can you tell our audience today? What are your hopes that people will get from these months of Kumeyaay resistance at the wall? What has been one of the hardest? Let me reframe. I'm kind of going too many questions at once here. What is the takeaway that you want our audience to learn from this experience over the course of the resistance at the wall, with particularly Shield and Warriors of Awareness?
I think one of the most key things to think about is they are all liars, and Republican and Democrat, because we do know that that part of that wall was Obama's wall, and we've seen Obama hugging little babies at Standing Rock and then full on throttle, hurting everybody there that was sticking up for the people at Standing Rock. We have to remember, and we need our own voices out there to be strong and move diligently, but move in a correct way that doesn't instill something bad. You know what I mean? And I've been out there many a day. Was able to go out there, shut work down at one place for 4 hours and another place for 4 hours, and like kill time on them building that wall. And for me to be able to experience that and to be out there with other folks, other tribal members, it was a great feeling, because number one, we care for our ancestors. It was like the walk we did a few days ago. We went out there and there was 4 blackened spots in the earth. Well, there's a little bit of bones in one of the spots. And today there was a meeting, but I couldn't go because I'm chairman of the election board and have to be here with my people doing my tribal stuff. But that being said, there are sites like that all across where Obama wall was and where Trump wall is. And it's a total lack of it's total disrespect to our Kumeyaay people, or whoever's tribe is on the border, and they're just doing that. Just no consultation with the tribes whatsoever. And we know it's all false money that was stolen to build the walls. I mean, everybody knows. But first and foremost for me is the lack of respect, and then to save my own people's DNA, my own people's ancestors from being desecrated. I have relatives in Campo. I have relatives in La Posta. I have relatives in Manzanita, and that's what I care for most. So folks, you know, if you want to help or you feel it's in you to come and stand with us, stand with us. By no means try to take over and use your influence of whatever you are or whatever you have, because this is Kumeyaay land. This land is of the Kumeyaay people. This land contains ancestors and DNA of our people. And I couldn't put that any more, like, didn't want to put any bells and whistles on it, because God forbid it that somebody would make a wrong decision and screw it up for everybody else. We have to be smart. We have to go back to our leaders. We need to ask questions. We need to move along in a professional way. And if we don't do that and just go off on my own little tangent or somebody else's little tangent, it's not beneficial for our people. It actually sucks. So I couldn't put that more blunt, but I've been with many, many, many good people out at the wall. I mean, you know, I didn't get permission to say their names, but there are a lot of good people who really care, not only just because of the wall, but for the ancestors. And that's our history. The ancestors is what happened to us. It's a proven fact. So, you know, I do know that there was a process before for the Kumiai to come across, and that was from a guy named Louis Wasik. And I want to talk to Louis and see how he did it before, because our people should be able to come right across anytime, you know, be it for gatherings or work or food or whatever. You know, they are our people. They always will be our people. And we need to show them the love and respect.
Thanks, Bobby. Actually, you got exactly what I was trying to get from your response. And what I gathered from that is it's incredibly important to, if you are out there in allyship and you're supporting, that it's important to center Kumeyaay leadership, right? Take the directive from leadership to see where it is that where they're leading with, whether it's policy or leading with action. It's important that we don't undermine or overstep, right? Is that what I'm gathering from that? And if any of you actually, Kenny, Jacob, and Martha, if any of you have actually any feedback or any suggestions in terms of how it is to be a good ally, please jump in.
I want to share a little bit about the, you know, the leadership they have a call of action on November 10 over there in by Ocotillo. And then that was the Kumiai Coalition. And then with the Tipai group, we bring a group of people from Baja. And the idea is, you know, it's like, okay, we always have a good relationship with the Homeland Security to, you know, cross the border, because we have the agreement with them. The agreement is still valid, it's still working. And then because we do at the cultural center, we do a lot of cultural activities, and we always bring people from Baja. That way, for the winter bazaar we do every year, or for classes, or, you know, any cultural activities. So we always have a good understanding over there with that. And then so, but with the COVID we stopped, because, you know, they completely stopped the whole thing. So when leadership, they put this thing together on the 10 November 10. So okay, we'll make a small group of people from Baja, and then see if we get the permits. That'd be great, so they can cross the border and be at the ceremony of Cotillo, you know, supporting the tribal leadership. But if not, that's okay, because we can get those papers, and, you know, their attorneys can use that paper and say, look, they're trying to cross the border and they denied it. But anyways, but we talked to the new director over there, and he was a very cool guy, and he gave us the permit for the people, so they came to the ceremony. And then So yeah, we have that.
Thanks,
So that was
Martha.
great that they give us the permit, because we're like, we didn't know, So there's a lot of people want to come, but I was like, well, we're not sure, if they will give us the permit or not. But yeah, we got it.
Awesome. Actually, and this is kind of a little bit more of a, for those of us who've actually been at the wall, and those of you who actually are there continually doing the work, what can, if someone were to like just say show up and they wanted to be engaged and be part of action, what can they expect to see at the wall? Like what type of things occur, and what is the importance and significance of the things that are happening?
Well, the other day when we were at the wall, you can expect to show up, journey out to the wall and see what has been found, or things of things of that nature. Like the last time we got to see the either agave pits or the one with bones could have possibly been a cremation site. So what it would be is, you go out there, dress comfortable, good shoes and everything, but just being a part in the solidarity for something good is all you need to do. I mean, just show up. We've had, numerous groups, San Diego 350, Sierra Club, Sunrise, the Shield, of course, BLM, and more diverse than that even. But you just show up and show solidarity, and that means something. That means we all believe in the same thing, and I think this time in history, it's very crucial that we all stand together and not fight. And I think that's what it mostly should be, is like togetherness, be as one, be strong as one, do what you're supposed to do, be respectful, and just press on. And we all have to press on.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add in? And I do notice a lot of questions coming in the chat. We will thank you again for your comments. We are definitely going to get to your questions in about 10 minutes. We'll start moving into kind of an open forum, but I do want to honor that you are asking questions, and some great ones, and we appreciate that. So the chat is active and we appreciate it, and we will get to those questions and comments in a few minutes. But if any, Kenny, Jacob, Jacob, you also have participated in ceremonial practices and things like that. So in kind of bringing it back to what to expect when you go into a gathering, can you tell me a little bit about what people might see in terms of maybe songs and dancing? What is the purpose of that, and how can people participate if they can?
Yeah, before I comment about that, I wanted to jump in about like people being allies and understanding who we are as Indigenous people all across Native America. I'm glad this event is being held at UCSD. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be changed, and I know that Native leadership is creating change at UCSD right now, so I'm very happy about that. But there's a lot of stuff that needs to be acknowledged in San Diego, and a lot of places that we start with acknowledging things is universities, to decolonize universities and stuff like that. And most of you are probably not even aware you're on Indigenous land, or you're on any kind of Native land, no matter where you go in America, North and South. And this whole concept of not understanding, and it's not your fault, but it's a respect thing to our people. We've been here for thousands of years. Thousands and thousands of years our people have created here. We've done our ceremonies here. We sang our songs, took care of our kids here. Listen to the next. And this is in San Diego. I'm pretty sure most of you guys are in San Diego right now. And if you're in San Diego, it's Kumeyaay territory, Kumeyaay land. A lot of the areas has village sites, there's burial grounds, there's sacred sites, sacred areas that you guys don't even know, but they still are desecrated, desecrated by people that don't even know that they exist. So I just want you guys to understand that. Do your research, like research the land. Because the only people that come from this area are the Kumeyaay people in San Diego, and that's it. Everyone else comes from somewhere else. And that's something that you should really try to understand and really grasp and really research your own of where you come from and look at how your ancestors got here. Like really think about that. How did all your ancestors get here to the Kumeyaay Nation? And you go back in the history and it's all atrocities and stuff and stuff that we have been through. We've been through 3 different governments. The first people that came here that try to create all these things on us and try to convert us is the Spanish people from Spain. And they were all along the coast of California. And you can find that research. I encourage you to go research it, understand it, and get why we speak the way we do, why we're upset a lot of the times, why we're always fighting for our land, and why we're fighting for our sacred areas and sacred sites, because they mean something to us. After that, we went to the Mexican government. The Mexican government did the same thing. After the Mexican government, then finally the United States government came through, and then that's where it's at today. Throughout that time, history has been lost. No one likes to talk about the stuff that was done against our people, specifically the Kumeyaay area, Kumeyaay Nation. And people like to think that we never existed in San Diego, ever. And it's weird. It's a weird thought. But I come from a place of understanding. And if I can understand something, I can teach that for someone to understand where they come from. And it's not meant to be in any kind of disrespectful way to find out where you're from. It's just for you to understand where you come from and that you guys are all guests to our land. And that is 100% true statement. We welcome people here now, but we want respect. We want respect. We want to acknowledge our people and what has happened to us. Give us some land back. Give us some of the land back on the ocean front. Give us back our sacred sites. Let us have it in the Kumeyaay Nation's name. Do things that are gonna help our people and help us go back to these places that we used to do ceremony. And there's a lot of places throughout San Diego County that we can't go because they're private land. And for a Kumeyaay person to go walk up to a place where we used to do ceremony and a place where our ancestors left markings for us to see and to feel and to understand that, and to see a sign that says, if you trespass on this land, it's a $10,000 fine. That's a slap in the face for all Native people within the Kumeyaay Nation. And these are the frustrations that we live with every single day. We're alive and well, our Kumeyaay people. We're resilient. We're a definition of courage, bravery, all these terms that you hear. That's who we are. We've protected our lands, and we're still continuing on and thriving.
Jacob.
Ceremony, go ahead.
And I think, Jacob hit it right on there. This is our land. We've been here for a long time. And sure, we'd love people to come and help us in this fight, our battle, in this point in time, because without our language, I know Stan, Martha's husband, a big component in language, and so is Martha. And stories, we need our stories in our songs, in our traditions that were almost lost at one time. But lastly, but probably very, very, very of most importance is the land, because the land contains our blood over many, many years. Some say 12, 13, but they had found a mammoth with a spear inside of it. And us Kumiai, have been known to be the craftspeople of the spear, making the best. That being said, we could have been here 25,000 years and maybe the people traveled the other way instead of everybody saying we traveled this way. And, we have our own creation stories. We have such a beautiful history. And why have somebody try to take it away over a wall. And there's no excuse for it. At least let us get out there and look around and go through it, you know, and maybe someday that will happen. But I think, you know, with folks like Jacob that work at San Diego State University, or Stan, you know, Stan works at KCC, and Martha, and all the other people with all this knowledge, you know, maybe if it gets shared over and over and over and over again, the spark might resonate within all of us. And maybe we all can walk as one together, you know, and that's the way it should be. You know, love, not hate, you know, moving down the correct path in a good way. And I believe it can happen. I really do. And you know what? You guys on this panel, hey, I love you guys. You know, I know I've seen you guys here and there, but I want to let you guys know, shit, man, I love you guys. And we're going to make changes in our lifetime, because if we don't, who knows what the next generations will lead us.
Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate your words.
Thanks.
Just to add on back to the culture and traditions, like why that's important as Indigenous people. Yeah, so through everything we have been through within the Kumeyaay Nation, and just within the Kumeyaay Nation, this goes all the way across America, like in South America, anyone that's Indigenous within the world, they all went. There's so many people in the world that went through this all because of European colonization. That's one thing you guys have to understand, that European colonization destroyed many tribes, many civilizations, a lot of people, committed genocide, walked over people, destroyed it, took it away from them, and then created their own on top of their land. And throughout time, a lot of that stuff has been forgotten, right? So that's the same thing that's happening anywhere, any colonial power that has done these things. And they don't look back to the damage that they caused upon our people. And the cultural trauma that still exists, the intergenerational trauma that still exists within us. Even talking about this stuff right now, it's like it's a trigger. It's a trigger for most Indigenous people, and it's not right. There's a lot of things that these government entities, these colonial powers need to do. They need to fix what they did, all the damage they created, and all the destruction. And to think that a country or a nation could do that and continue to say that they do great things for all people of the world, that's not right. Because when you destroy something and you look back at us and we're still here struggling on our reservations, and we're forced onto our reservations, but we want land everywhere. We want our land. We want some of our land back respectfully. And I think that that's not a lot to ask for, especially for what the United States government did to the American Indian here in America. You can't just sweep us underneath the rug. Believe it or not, our ancestors are still within us. At one time, when they were struggling against these government entities a long time ago, when they were actually alive, just like how we are right now, a lot of them were getting killed. You know, a lot of them running to the hills, hiding, trying to survive. California genocide. Think about that. That's real for our people. That was real for one of our ancestors. So I always believe that we are the prayers of our ancestors that were answered. And that's why I do the work that I do. And I know in a little bit, I don't know when, but I'll talk about the work that I do at Sdsu, the reason why I do the work I do, you know, and I'll leave the rest for discussion, but culture and traditions are most important for me growing up. And I put 11 years in the Samba School youth because I know what it did for me, you know? I know how it helps me continue on in this world. Without knowing who I am, without knowing the creation story, that would be nothing. Without knowing our songs, that would be a zombie, you know? I wouldn't know who I was. These songs and these traditions and our way of life, we survive off it. That's how we survive here in this world. That's how we survive within the land that we take care of and everything around us, and how connected we are with our earth, with our mother earth, how connected we are with our songs and our traditions and our language, and why that means so much It's all heart, it's all love, and it's our who we are originally. And with that being said, I'll let else I want to talk because I don't want to take too much time, because I do definitely want to talk about the things that we're doing, decolonizing Sdsu and decolonizing ways of thinking and different, and listening to an indigenous perspective rather than listening to the master narrative. The master narrative is what the United States tells about indigenous people from their own eyes, you know, in the eyes of the conqueror, on the courts of the conqueror. I don't know if you guys read that, Walter Eckhart. But now it's like in the eyes of an indigenous perspective. Now it's coming from our point of view, our way of life, our way of thinking, our way of being. And maybe it's the first time you're ever gonna hear stuff like this, but it's a learning experience for each and every one of you. Just to open your mind, your body, your heart, your spirits to our perspective and what we have been through, and that we're still right here speaking and standing up for our people and trying to create change and create pathways for our kids so that we can survive in this world that was created for us through colonization and everything that happened to our people. So with that being said, I'll pass on to the next person.
Thank you, Jacob. Martha, I saw that you had something to add.
Oh yeah, I just want to share. It's very important. When you go, to any, activities and stuff like that, and you have people, just listen to whoever is, leading the activity or something like that. Don't, because other people have their own religion and stuff like that. They want to do their own thing, but we need to be respectful of the Kumeyaay nation. And then that happened to us too. We went to the Sacred Sites of La Rumorosa to do the winter solstice. So we do a Kumeyaay ceremony, and they have all the natives over there trying to do their own ceremony. And I say, hey, this is our homeland, this is our religion. I mean, thank you for coming, but please give us the opportunity for us to give it, do our Kumeyaay ceremony, and then you guys are welcome to do your own ceremony, but don't interrupt the songs and stuff like that, because this is our Kumeyaay language, the songs and stuff like that. Just be respectful of the situation. That can be a ceremony, or they can be, when they do a call of action, just follow the leadership in that day, don't trying to make your own thing in there, because like did somebody say, everything you do will reflect on the Kumeyaay nation. That's why we need to, follow direction and be respectful. That's it.
Thank you, Martha. Actually, I think this is a good opportunity to actually start asking or answering some questions that are in the chat, unless any of our panelists want to add anything, any last kind of thoughts or things that are coming up for you. But we have a lot of action in the chat, and I think it'd be a great opportunity to start getting some feedback.
I've got one thing, and as I noticed when Jacob was talking, to me, I heard him stutter a couple words, and I know what that's from, Jacob. It's from the intergenerational trauma, and you are so resilient, my brother, and it's good to see what you're doing to relieve the trauma from your body, bro. And I feel it too. But if we can do it, anybody else can do it. So Jacob, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, Clark.
Yes. So my first question actually is from, and if you actually want to unmute yourself, I'm going to give it to Andrea. Let's see, actually, just 1 second, looking at the chat here. There's a lot of action here. So this question is coming from Andrea Gaspar. I could read it for you. You can ask your question yourself to Martha. Feel free to unmute.
Yeah, I can ask. Thank you. And thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your knowledge and how we can show up in better ways for the Kumeyaay nation. In the chat, I put a question. I grew up in Tijuana and lived there till I was 15 years old. And it wasn't really till I moved here where I, was able to build relationships with some of Kumeyaay and Payacawishan folks. But I still have a lot of family in Tijuana, and I go often, and I do community organizing there as well. So I'm like, my question is for Martha. What are some of the ways that folks in Tijuana can support the work that you all are doing? And also in my mind, it's a lot too, like places like Valle de Guadalupe, where there is a lot of like folks going and traveling and like to wine country, and I know it's very nearby Kumeyaay community. So yeah, just wondering how we can show up and support the work out there.
Yes, thank you. Well, like I said, with the Tipahua group that we have, like Juan is part and Kenny, they're part of all Tipahua too. Anyways, so while we're working very hard right now trying to help the communities for the winter gifts, and then for COVID-19 relief. So we are collecting donations, a lot of like gifts, blankets and shoes and socks and stuff like that for all the communities. And then also, so yeah, so we are like we're collecting, and we're trying to go on the first week in December. We're going to the much of the communities we can, and then anything you guys can help with that. If you guys want to come with us, to distribute the donations, you guys are welcome. We need a lot of help. It's a lot of work. I will not lie, because we just like go one reservation, give all the donations, and go to the next one. So we're just like going and going and going, and then but it's very nice because we can visit, relatives, and it's very fun too at the same time. Good time, good people. So if you like, we have a flyer for that. If you guys want to donate to that, we have some of the students, the high schoolers right now, to the COVID. They had to do a school on how to say, a home, but well, they live in the red, so they have to go to town so they can go to school. But a lot of the some of the teenagers, what the need is have a laptops right now. If somebody has a laptop, they don't use the one donate, or you guys want to donate a laptop, we at least I have like 8 kids around right now. They are like waiting for a laptop. Also, um, we have a family. One of my family from San Jose, La Soto, they have a tragedy back in August. So we have a GoFundMe account for them too. And then we have the story in there. It was a terrible thing happened. So if you guys want to donate to that, we appreciate that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Next question is coming from Lizzie. Forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. Shalau. You feel free to unmute yourself, or I could ask it for you.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
You're good. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been trying to learn more about land back and land repatriation, and I wanted to see if kind of what that looks like on Kumeyaay territory, and if there has been any recent examples of that or pathways. Not that I'm a homeowner or landowner myself, but just wondering if there's a movement or pathways for that here.
Kenny, you want to jump in that one?
Well, I think there's a couple different ways to think about it. Because I think that the fight against this wall is like essentially a type of land back situation in terms of returning control of this area, which is unceded Kumeyaay territory. We did not cede this land back to, the original caretakers. So when I think of the fight against this wall, it is to protect ancestral remains and even sacred sites such as Kuchima, which lays in the wall's path or on the colonial border. But I think it is an assertion of our sovereignty, and I think ultimately a way of advocating for land back. As far as specific acquiring of land, I think I'm not from Siquan, but I think Siquan has actually is an example of ways in which they have acquired different parts of land through, I don't know, however you do that, through the colonial ways and the structures that exist. But I think tying back to even what Jacob was talking about in terms of the Kumeyaay nation, I think that we're still working towards that understanding amongst ourselves of a nation of different bands and communities and reservations, and envisioning what land back could really mean for us. I don't know if anyone has anything to add, but that's just where I'm at. Oh, Martha, get in here, girl.
Yeah, the Kumeyaay Nation have the KDLC, Kumeyaay Land Conservancy, and they have, they have lands here and there they purchase and they're preserving. And then also they have other particular people who donate, some land back too, especially in the Julian area. And then so yeah, I mean, if somebody want to donate, that's KDLC, they were more than happy to have land back.
Thanks, Martha. Anyone else want to add anything on that? Now I have a question from Nan. Nan, you would like to unmute yourself, or I can go ahead and ask it for you. So it says, what are some ways that community members can support the border wall protests? This is open to anyone.
All right, hey. I know there was a meeting today which I was unable to go to, but supporting by just showing up on the days that we go. What you have to do is you have to look on the Shield Facebook site and put in a request, and then we'll whoever it is, I'll approve your request. And then once you're in, then you can get all the information of when the next time we're going out, or whatever you need to bring, or this is what we're going to be doing, bring your signs. And it could be one of many different things. So, but most importantly, it will be respectful. So just bring your game face, be happy, and do what's right for Mother Earth and right for the Kumeyaay people and our relatives.
Thanks, Bobby. We have a question from Cynthia Vasquez. Cynthia, would you like to ask your question?
Sure, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your knowledge. Right now, I'm teaching a class on climate change, and I wanted to connect it back to how the border and the construction of border is not is affecting the environment. And I know that we saw images coming out earlier in the summer on how, specifically they got the peak or Kuchama, if I'm correct, I hope I'm pronouncing Kuchama Mountain, Sacred Mountain. And so if folks, Kuchama, thank you. And folks can talk a little bit about how the border is really affecting the land and the environment and just place-based knowledge specifically on the Sacred Mountain.
Well, when they do come through, they are heavy duty operators and they just blast right on through whatever's in their way. I mean, that's how big their tools are. So, talk about the consultations and all that is the kind of stuff we need to put in the arena, because they're moving rocks. They're killing old plants. I mean, some of those yucca plants are super old, and I mean, they're blasting on through sacred sites. I mean, I was there one day when they had a big toll right up to the side, and I looked and I found it, and I think I might have showed you too, Martha. That was the day we were dancing, but I think I showed it to you, and it was just like the most perfect tool just sitting there. So what they're doing changes a lot, because they're digging I think 50 or 60 feet from the wall for the road. Then they're going to put in an electric line 4 feet deep by, I think, 4 foot wide. So they're moving a lot of dirt. They're killing a lot of stuff along the way. Whatever's on the ground, they're blasting through.
Thanks, Bobby. Did anyone else want to add anything? Martha, did you have anything to add on that?
Yes, there was a lot of vegetation that destroying, because yeah, they had to clear up this, the area. So I mean, they're destroying a lot of plants, and not only the plants, there are a lot of animals too. With those, they don't have access to go back and forth. If they have the family, they split for a little bit for the day, and then they now, they cannot get together anymore because the wall is right there, and it's not any space for them to cross the border. So it's I think somebody was showing me some pictures like deer, like, they just die right there. They were just dead next to the border wall, because that's how they're affecting, a lot of like um a lot of the plants, and a lot of like there are plants over there like take forever to grow, to grow up, and they are big plants, and now they destroy it, so to take back, I mean, it would take years, especially over there with the Hana Autumn, all those big saguaros or the cactus, I mean, they're huge, and then they just destroy the whole area just to put the wall in there. It was very sad because we went to for a ceremony over there with the Hana Autumn, and just to see that, next to the border wall, it was just terrible. And see the elders, like, having a hard time, like same thing, connected to their family and the other side of the border wall, and also the water they're using for um they have like a lagoon over there, so they were taking water from there, so they could continue to do that, they will use all the water. So without a lot of animals who would not have access to water anymore, especially over there in the desert, it's just terrible to do the habitat in there. Yeah.
Thank you, Martha, for your insight. And I actually wanted to just let everyone know, Dr. Stan Rodriguez, thank you for joining us today. I know you had a busy morning, busy afternoon. Thank you for giving us a little bit of your time. I do actually have a question that I wanted to ask you earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and ask that now just so everyone has the opportunity to respond. So your question, Dr. Rodriguez, is how has the border wall attempted to erase the Kumeyaay people? And what is one project that you are particularly involved in that has helped curtail these efforts?
As far as the border wall, I'm sure the other panelists have spoken about the damage that has been done. Now, our people, the Kumeyaay people, we're a people of the ocean, the valleys, the mountains, the desert, parts of the Colorado River, north of Camp Pendleton, all the way to about 150 miles south of Ensenada. So this is our area. I mean, our traditional area that we reside in. This is our promised land. And with that said, when the initial border was put in place, it basically cut Kumeyaay territory in half. And when that happened, what is the meta message that it is sending to the people? Like Martha, Ana Gloria Rodriguez, she's Kumeyaay. She was born and raised on the San Jose de Las Oro Reservation, but she comes over here into San Diego. She's basically an alien. And this is her traditional territory. Same thing when we go across the border into Mexico. So we're like the Kurds of California. If you know the history of the Kurdish people, they've been separated by 3 different, countries, but they're still the same people. So when the border wall was created, and I'm not gonna beat up on the past administration because they're past now, but the damage has been done. And if you look at what's happening, they cut through ceremonial sites, sacred ceremonial sites. The difficulty for people to connect with each other is important. And I equate it to an askai, a pot. And you've all held a pot before. Imagine shattering it on the ground. That's what happened to the Kumeyaay Nation. Each shard is one of the communities. But what happens when you're attempting to, when you want to use your language? Let's say I speak the language on this side of the border, Martha speaks the language on the other side. Okay, we have a border wall in front of it. The number of opportunities in order to hear the language becomes limited. And let's say Bobby Wallace over here wants to learn how to speak the language, but there's nobody in his community that speaks it. He'd have to either come to San Isabel or go down to Baja. So that's less and less opportunities to use the language. What happens when you have less and less opportunities to use the language? How many people in here speak more than one language? Okay. In other words, mucha gente aquí puede hablar español, ¿verdad? ¿Sí o no? Dime pues. ¿Sí? ¿Y dónde usted aprender? You learn it by talking, using the language. And that's how any vibrant language is used. You have to use it. You use it or you lose it. And this is one of the problems with Kumeyaay language, Kumeyaay culture. When you have somebody who knows a creation story in one reservation in Baja, and somebody that wants to learn it maybe up in San Pascual, but they have nobody that knows it, they may have to travel all the way to Baja. Okay, that being said, you have to go to another country. It's still the same land. So anyway, the point I'm making with this is that when you have a people that are fragmented, the ability to sustain continuity is limited. And when that happens, the people struggle. The people struggle to keep the self-identity. I have to say, Ana Gloria, she's been doing a lot of work with the Tipe Hua.
You're muted.
I have just noticed nobody has heard anything I've said.
You're good for the most part. It was the last maybe 30 seconds.
Okay. Anyway, I was talking about the Tipe Hua organization. It's a multinational organization, not binational, because that's the United States and Mexico. But we're also looking at the Kumeyaay people as another sovereign nation. So being able to work with the different groups to bring a sense of unity, a sense of oneness is very important for the continuity of the Kumeyaay people. And with that also comes with language revitalization, cultural revitalization, and also land issues that take place. You know, Bobby was talking about, you see what's happening at the border. I was over at the border when they were east of Hakumba. They were going up a mountain. I mean, just looking at that would have been a deadfall, and they were coming up. You know, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? You know, they're going through sacred sites. The reason why they're doing that is because they are discounting Kumeyaay knowledge or Kumeyaay epistemology or Kumeyaay spiritual beliefs and marginalizing us as a people. And that is fundamentally wrong.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. We are getting close to our time. If our panelists are okay staying on for a few more minutes so we can follow up and answer a couple more questions and shed some of your work, I'm more than happy to stay on with you. I know people have to be at their places, so at 3:30, feel free to log off if you have to head off somewhere else. But I will go ahead and stay on here for a few more minutes after to accommodate time and any other lingering questions. But I did want to bring it back a little bit as we kind of close out our session. Each one of our panels, I'm going to give you a couple sentences or just a time to respond to your personal work and what it is that you are currently doing and how is it supporting you in your community and just kind of how do you find refuge in your work. And so we'll go ahead and start with Jacob.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I work at San Diego State. Again, I'm tribal liaison and I teach American Indian Studies in my third year, 2021. So a lot of things I'm doing right now. The only reason why I went back to school and got educated was to help my people, Kumeyaay people, and all indigenous people across Native America to get us to a different place, a place where we were protected, that we're able to use our voices, create new pathways for our people, so that we have a different way of surviving in this world, and a different way of speaking about who we are as Kumeyaay. So at San Diego State, I teach issues in American Indian education, and also one thing we just created, it's a really cool program. I used to do this program actually with UCSD with Dr. Olga Vasquez for 11 years. And I know it was like close to 20 years where San Pascual did it with them. It was called TACKLE program, Technology and Culture Kumeyaay Literacy Education, where undergrads from UCSD would come to San Pascual Reservation. I was a site coordinator. I taught the Kumeyaay language to kids, pre-K, and then also K through first. We had 2 different sessions where we taught our kids all this stuff about the Kumeyaay way of life and our songs and our traditions. And our UCSD students were able to create relationships with our kids. And obviously it's a quarter system, so it was a fast 10 weeks, but within that time frame, we had undergrads would always come back to reservation and stay connected and learn about who we are. And they developed a profound respect of the Kumiai people and our children on San Pasqual. So with that being said, being at San Diego State, I'm doing the same thing. It's called the Kumeyaay Shmools Project. And we're doing a collaboration with a child family development and global affairs to show like how the students at Sdsu can learn about kind of like what we're doing now. Everyone's learning about the Kumiai people. So it's a place where our students can actually enroll in a class and have a connection with one of the tribes where they'll be working with another site coordinator from Sequan. Right now we have Jamie Brake and Blue Eagle Vigil, who's going to be helping out with that, and the Sequan Education Department. So that's a course that we're actually going to be starting in 2021. It's actually approved and everything and good to go. So that's one thing that I brought to SDSU from UCSD, Dr. Ola Vasquez, who gave us permission to do this. And that's one project. So another thing is recognizing the land. SDSU developed a Kumiai land acknowledgement, and we do it before we speak anywhere, kind of like what Juan did today, which was awesome. That's the first time I ever heard UCSD doing a land acknowledgement. So that's a move in a positive direction to bring more awareness on campus and bring more awareness on to the students that are on the Kumiai land. And there's a lot of things that UCSD needs to work on with the Kumiai people, like getting a tribal liaison. Like at UCSD needs a tribal liaison to work with local communities. And I know it's been mentioned before, but that's something that definitely needs to be pushed. Another couple things is the University Senate of SDSU. We had some resolutions passed, and this was gathered from students, faculty, staff, alumni, and people within the Kumiai Nation. So we got the Kumiai Acknowledgement where everyone says it. And then also I brought a resolution to our Senate because I'm also on the Senate DEI, Inclusion and Equity Councils. And I always bring up these issues, like we need to be more aware of the Kumiai Nation. We need to respect the Kumiai people. The SDSU needs to decolonize the way it sees itself as a university, especially when it's on the unceded land of the Kumiai people. And so we just passed resolution it was a unanimous decision to pass resolution to fly the Kumiai Nation's flag. And we're waiting for the Kumiai Nation's flag. So I know right now it's there's a creation of a new one that's happening where it's going to include the Baja Kumiai. So we're going to wait for that. You know, we really wanted to push it for Native American Heritage Month, but we respect what the Kumiai people want. Obviously, I'm Kumiai myself, but you know what I mean? It's just a different way of thinking of who we are as Kumiai people. So we passed that resolution. We also passed a resolution to where our syllabus or syllabi will have the Kumiai land acknowledgement, so all our students will see it, and they'll be like, okay, what is this Kumiai land acknowledgement? What is that? But they're going to think, they're going to see it, and they can research it. Another cool thing, we're doing a lot of changes, especially within Hefner Hall, because it's a same exact replica, almost not exact replica, but looks like the San Diego Mission, and that is a trigger for Indigenous people all over California that walk on campus. And when we see those things, it affects us in that way. And that's another thing we brought our awareness to. So that we're changing things with that also, even within our logo. And then also we one cool thing that we got approved within the Student Affairs and Campus Diversity is we're going to create a Kumiai mural that's going to be permanent. And already I sent in, not invites, but already like the people within the Kumiai Nation, whoever wants to be involved. If there's any Kumiai here on this call right now, we're more than happy for you to be involved in this creation of the Kumiai mural, and also a Kumiai sculpture that will be there forever, that will acknowledge our people. And who knows, whatever we want to put, whoever wants to be in the committee within the Kumiai Nation can be on the committee and give their insight on what they want to see. The whole reason for this, so that anyone that goes to SDSU, they're going to know exactly where they're at. They're going to know exactly what land they're on, and they're not going to be confused about why SDSU calls themselves Aztecs. You know what I mean? There'll be a distinction of, this is Kumiai Nation, it's not Aztec Nation. And that's one thing we make clear, especially when we're raising our Kumiai flag and letting people know, right? Another thing I'm working with Stan, Dr. Stan and KCC and the board, we're creating you together. Go ahead.
Opportunity right now for all of you to put in your information into the chat. We have a lot of people interested in maybe contacting you all at a later time. And in the sake of time, I want to make sure that they get that opportunity to be in contact with each and every one of you. If you feel comfortable doing that, just throw in your social media, your contact information. That way our guests can actually reach out to you at a later time. And then continue when you're ready. Thank you.
Yeah, so Kumeyaay Miro, oh wait, sorry, we're talking about our activity we're doing, our MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with KCC to find better ways and faster ways and to get our students in from KCC to San Diego State. And we're developing the criteria right now. I think it's pretty awesome. And it's a lot of good stuff happening for our Native students who attend KCC. So it brings students into KCC and also brings students into Sdsu. And that's one thing we're working on right now with KCC, Stan, and the board. So we also have a Kumiai committee that's in charge of the Kumiai mural sculpture, so I'm excited about that. Some other things that we're doing, I listen to the students, and a lot of them are struggling. You know, like either you eat or you pay your rent, or you pay your rent and you don't get to drive somewhere. You know, like or you pay your car. So we're creating a travel scholarship right now. We're developing the criteria for that. And that'll be in the Center of Inclusive Excellence and in my office, to where we'll be able to give some money to our students that come to San Diego State University, and it'll help them out tremendously in that way. Another thing we're in the middle of creating, it's at the end of it, but is the American Indian Advisory Board that will Sdsu on all issues, just so they have insight on many different perspectives within the Kumeyaay Nation. Also, we're going to include everyone that's going all the reservations and basically San Diego County to be a part of this advisory board, just so we're diverse indigenous people, you know, like Luceno, Cupeño, Kumiai. I think that's it. And then obviously there's further. We'll actually have to conclude the Cocopan Quetzan because we have our IV campus over there in Imperial Valley, which is also Kumeyaay Nation. So that's another thing that we're working on too, is bringing more students into our IV campus, not just this one. But yeah, so with that being said, we also have our Native Resource Center we just opened up. And just long story short, we wanted to create a sense of belonging and a place to call home for our students. So when our students come on campus, they feel good. They feel like they belong there. They meet us, Indigenous faculty also and staff. And also within our NRC, we have different programs that mentor our students. Our Machu Chop program, our EY class, which is on Friday. Our juniors and our senior students, undergrads, they connect with our incoming freshmen and they help guide them through their experience. And also Martha's got accepted this year. She's a student through Sdsu right now. So we're very proud of Martha, representing, coming from all the way down Baja, breaking barriers and being a student at Sdsu. And that's insane just to even think about, you know what I mean? The struggle, the resilience, and of all our students and like what we represent at San Diego State. But yeah, so these are things that we're working on. I'm excited about it. And I look forward to keep creating more pathways with our local partners, KCC, local tribes, KHPC. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Sorry, I don't want to forget this.
Yeah, just for the sake of time, let's go ahead and if you have anything additional, throw it in the chat. I know we're already over about 8 minutes, and Bobby had to jump off. It looks like he had another engagement, but I just wanted to make sure I give enough time and space for every single person who still has some lingering thoughts. Martha, Kenny, Dr. Rodriguez, if you have anything you want to leave our guests with, some last closing thoughts, some takeaways, this would be the opportunity, or any last questions from our participants, this would be the time. Go ahead, Martha.
Yeah, I would like to share a little bit. Well, first of all, I would just want to say thank you everyone for, for being in this panel today, and for the people who came and spent time with us, listen to us. I just really been honored to be working at Siquan Travel Government for many, many years already. So instead of work, for me, it's just home, it's family, and I'm very blessed to have this opportunity to offer to the community, to the native community and non-native, with the cultural nights once a month. Everyone is welcome to come to the cultural nights. It's different topic every month. Um, Also, we do a lot of like cultural educational programs for different schools, private and not private, and public schools. To learn about Kumeyaay Nation, and then and it's very important, to all different ages to learn about our Kumeyaay Nation, and then so yeah, we do a lot of like tours over here at the cultural center, or we went to the school, we go to the schools and do the presentation, and it's a free program for the whole county. So it's just a bless, to be able to do this, and then and also too, you guys want to join Tipaihua group. If you're Kumeyaay, come on, let's be part of the group. If you want to be a supporter, we really appreciate everyone's help. And then yeah, thank you. Yeah, Han.
Thank you, Martha. Dr. Rodriguez, Kenny, you want any closing statements or anything that's lingering with you?
Oh, I'll just share that I believe in the power of art and centering Native perspective and the impact that that has on cultures. And so in the chat, I just put a bunch of links to Native theater projects. One is a thing I co-curated for the Ford Theater and the LA Philharmonic this last month that features Native artists, including a Kumiai poet from Viejas and just other artists from California, and sharing art that basically talks about California Indian history and fights to protect and preserve our sovereignty. And the others are projects that focus on different tribal nations, from the Tlingit in Alaska to the Mohegan tribe of Connecticut, and everything's free. So tune in, support Native art, and all these projects. I love that everything's free and online right now. It's very accessible to everyone, and anyone that has internet and a device. And but all these artistic projects, they really center Native perspective. And if you're looking to kind of challenge your own ways in which your thinking has been maybe ingrained in a settler colonial state, I think watching art that is made from a Native perspective is a great way to open your mind and experience things in a fun and I don't know, in a fun way, in a good way. That's all. Dr. Rodriguez, I'll pass it to you. You're muted, Dr. Stan.
Can you hear me now?
You're good, yes.
All right. Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you, Kenny, for your words. As far as what you do, as a thespian, bringing that out. And Jacob, you were, used to do a professional hip hop tour back in the day. You still got them hot feet out
Back in the
there.
day.
Yeah, back in the day. But, part of that is in our creation story, we honored that. We honor that ability for that artistic part to come out. So, but I just want to say, as the director of Kumeyaay Community College, or the president of Kumeyaay Community College, the only operational tribal college in California that offers an accredited associate's degree, that it was important that our story gets told. And I've seen people, and I'm just going to hammer San Diego State. Most of the professors over there are non-Kumeyaay, and they're telling our story, but they're not telling it through our lens. And the thing is, it is so important because we have been marginalized so many times in the past. And now we're working on developing MOUs with the various tertiary institutions, such as Cal State San Marcos. We're looking at San Diego State, and we're also looking at UCSD. And we're also looking at developing capacity with our Kumeyaay relatives in Baja on the other side of the border, so that we can develop sister institutions out there, so that we can hope to meet the educational needs of our Kumeyaay people in Baja. And just like Martha said, if any of you want to get involved in any of this, the Tipaihua group is an excellent group to get a hold of. And it's open to both Kumeyaay and non-Kumeyaay too. Coming over and, being able to help in organizing, going to be taking some donations into Baja in December, going to be hitting all the Kumeyaay and Pai Pai, Kiliwa, Kokopa, and Cochimi reservations. So if any of you are interested, get a hold of Martha. And as we say in Kumiai, so may the Creator watch over you. You all have safe journeys wherever you're going to go. And until we see each other again, thank you very much.
Yeah, Dr. Rodriguez, I think this is the perfect opportunity to close out for the evening. I want to personally say thank you again to every single one of you for your time, your energy, your practice. I think you're all amazing. And UCSD and myself personally couldn't have done this without you. So we appreciate you and thank you for this time. For our audience, we are going to be sharing this video after it's dubbed and captioned and interpreter accessible for our deaf and hard of hearing community as well. So look for that hopefully in the next couple weeks. And again, at this point, we're going to close out for the evening. Thank you for your time and everyone be well.
Take care, everybody.